Good afternoon. My name is Karen Jernigan. It's Tuesday, March the 26th, 2024. We are here in the Bitterwater Valley, east of King City, California, to have a conversation with Darlene Maggini about her roots in this area of southern San Benito County and southern Monterey County. We are doing this on behalf of the San Antonio Valley Historical Association. So first, I'm going to ask Darlene to say your full name.
Darlene Laura Maggini.
Okay, and your maiden name was?
Stokx, S-T-O-K-X.
S-T-O-K-X. Okay, so Darlene, D-A-R-L-E-N-E.
Correct.
And Laura, L-A-U-R-A.
Yes.
Stokx. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Stokx. S-T-O-K-X. And I think you and I talked about this one time that you think is of Dutch origin.
I know it is.
Dutch origin. It's an interesting spelling. I don't know too many names that end in X, so that's interesting.
Because most of the Stokxes end in E-S.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And then Maggini, M-A-G-G-I-N-I.
Correct.
Okay. I want to make sure that we have permission to use this recording to educate people about history. So, Darlene, yes. Do we have your permission to share this information with others interested in history, including publication on our San Antonio Valley Historical Association YouTube channel?
Yes.
Thank you. We are conducting this interview at 13 Lone Oak Road in Bitterwater at the ranch home of John and Darlene Maggini. It is also known as 46385 Airline Highway. In the room with us is videographer John Jernigan and one guest who has joined us to listen, Darlene's husband, John. So, our first question, Darlene, is what is the date of your birth? And now, not always do women want to say this, but are you okay with telling us the year you were born?
Of course.
Okay.
July 26th, 1940.
Okay. So that makes you 83. Going on 84, not too long. Yeah, okay. And where were you born?
In Paso, Robles, Community Hospital.
Okay. And do you know where you were born in Paso? Oh, Community Hospital.
Okay.
I
think is the name, yeah.
Okay, Community Hospital in Paso. Okay. And how long have you lived in Bitterwater?
65 years plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you lived in this house?
60 years.
60 years, yeah. Okay.
I think Shari was 5 or a little, right, yeah.
Okay. Your roots in King City and Bitterwater go back to what year?
King City, I was approximately 1943, I believe.
1943. Yeah, I think you said you were 3 years
old. I was 3. We lived in Bradley before that, yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about what came before that. So can you tell us your mother and father's full names?
My father was George Peter Stokx.
Okay.
And my mother was Ruth Lucille Stokx.
Okay. And what was your mother's maiden name?
Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S.
Okay, and can you tell us what you know about your parents?
My father worked for the railroad my whole life, living with them, and my mother she did several different jobs. Of course, raising us. I have 3 sisters. She worked at the school cafeteria when I was in grammar school. She worked for L.A. Hearne, cleaning beans, worked at Meyer Tomato, and later at Basic Garlic sorting, whatever they did. I'm not sure exactly what she did there.
Those were all significant businesses in King City that related to agriculture. So I think you said that not only did your father work for the railroad, and
My
you're talking
my grandfather
your
also
grandfather too.
in Oregon. Yeah.
Okay, so it was kind of a family.
Yes.
Thing,
My dad
huh?
worked for the Southern Pacific, and Grandpa, I'm not sure, in Oregon.
Okay, so your dad worked for Southern Pacific Railroad, and your grandfather worked for the railroad in
For
Oregon.
the railroad in Oregon, yes.
Okay.
A small town.
Okay, so did your dad work for the railroad in Paso Robles?
In Bradley.
In Bradley.
Out of Bradley.
Okay, you were born in Paso Robles.
And
so
we
he
lived
worked
in,
in
we
Bradley.
lived in Bradley, yes.
Okay, and he worked for the railroad there.
Yes.
And then he must have been transferred.
Yes, he was a section foreman.
Okay. Section 4.
That's what they called them.
Okay. So, what are your earliest memories of King City? 3 years old, you probably don't remember much then.
No, I don't remember much. Living next to the tracks, it wasn't
Okay.
a problem. We had a big dog, and he would protect me, I think, from the tracks because that was never an issue.
So, when you say living next to the tracks, were you next to the depot?
We were probably, 2 blocks to the depot,
Okay.
and the railroad tracks were right out of the hedge and the fence. We were right next to the railroad tracks.
Okay,
The
and
house.
when you say 2 blocks south was
South,
of the depot?
airport was south.
The depot?
I mean, we were south of the airport, yeah. I mean, of the depot.
Of the depot,
Yeah.
Okay, 2 blocks basically from where the depot was, which was kind of at Broadway and South First Street.
Yeah. Well, yeah, actually, we were across from, I could go straight down Pearl Street from the house. So,
Okay,
yeah.
from your house across Pearl Street. Okay. And so when you live next to a railroad track, isn't that kind of noisy? And
Well, it is, but we were in the upstairs rooms, and it would kind of rock you to sleep or whatever, because there were a lot of trains that would go by.
And when you say a lot, what do you mean?
Oh, I don't know. It seems like there was a lot of
I mean,
train
5?
traffic.
20, 15?
Maybe, no, not that many probably, but my dad would go out and watch them all go by. I mean, if it was daylight, you know.
So maybe 5 or 10 a day?
Maybe not that many.
Okay.
No, but there was a lot of things done on the rail at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Trains went by. But you just kind of got used to it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you lived there, and that was
Okay.
where you lived.
Okay. Do you remember anything about those trains? Were they like steam trains, or were they like?
Well, they used to fill them with water. There was. I have a picture of the water tank, so they used to fill them. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my mechanics aren't too good to know exactly how they ran. You know, but there was a big water tank there that they had to have done something with for the trains. Yeah. And we would go to the depot, and they had scales, the old-fashioned scales, which I have a pair of some old scales in the yard, not from there. But they'd let us weigh ourselves on the scales and go in the depot and visit with the guys there and stuff. You know, I mean, they catered to the kids, I guess.
Were the scales for weighing freight, or were they for weighing
probably,
people?
or maybe they weighed luggage. I don't know what
Luggage,
they weighed, but
okay,
probably,
okay.
probably.
Interesting.
I don't know what they used them for, but they were the old-fashioned scales that you had the weights on.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So
I remember that.
You remember Pearl Street? Was that the route that you took to school?
Walked straight to school.
And it must have been at San Lorenzo School? Was it called San Lorenzo?
King City Grammar School is what I
Okay.
think they were called.
King City Grammar School, which later became San Lorenzo School, which later became the Arts Magnet School.
Yeah.
So schools do change
They've
names.
changed names. It was
Yes.
just King City Grammar School.
King City Grammar
Yeah,
School,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It's-
I guess I didn't think about the name of the school. It was where I went to school from kindergarten. Would go to kindergarten and through 8th grade.
Through 8th grade, okay. Do you have any memories of that time?
I remember
in school?
taking naps in kindergarten. They put us on floor mats, and we'd take our little rest. And the teacher swatting my hand for talking out of turn with a ruler, and nobody thought anything of it. I mean, it was just something I probably well deserved. And we'd go out and play with, you know, all the friends and made friends that way. And had brownies and Girl Scouts with the same people that we went to school with. Yeah.
So mostly good memories, or
Yeah,
not
yeah.
anything traumatic,
No,
or just
no.
kind of.
Yeah.
And what year? Let's see. You were born in
40.
40, so that would have been the 40s that you went to school, and early 50s. Okay.
Because I graduated in 58 and started school in 54, high school. Yeah. In
So you graduated in King City High School.
King City High School.
In 58?
From 54 to 58.
1954 to 58, okay. So what do you remember about King City High School?
It was just a great time. Kids used to do the drag, and we'd have road parties, but I don't remember any drinking or anything. We'd turn music up and dance on a side road or something, you know, and just good times, you know.
When you say drag, you mean like drag up and down Main?
Up and down Main Street.
Okay,
Yeah,
Broadway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we called it Main Street, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big entertainment, I guess, you know, and waving at each other. And
So there were a lot of businesses that probably lined the street. You remember
yes.
some of the
Oh,
businesses?
yes,
What do you remember?
Well, I could remember when before was I think I was before grammar school. My mother was taking lessons to become a Catholic, because she wasn't a Catholic. My mother was born Mormon, raised Mormon.
Okay.
And we were all raised Catholics. But she was taking classes from Father Stuhlman at the old church on Bassett Street.
Yeah, the
Yes,
Catholic Church
yes.
was on Bathurst Street.
And so that was a long time ago, because then they
Right.
moved the church
Yeah, they did.
to where it is now. And my father was very active in the Knights of Columbus, and he did a lot of work helping do whatever they did at the new church. Anyway, and I can remember after going to church, we'd always stop at I think it was Mullerweiss, it had the bakery. Is that the name of the bakery? Next to the Greyhound bus depot on Main Street, because we'd get donuts or something sweet.
And when you say Main Street, are you talking about the 100 block of Broadway?
Going down Broadway.
Okay, the
I called it
100
Main
block.
Street.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a bakery
and a Greyhound bus stop.
on the left-hand side going down the street.
It wasn't the Buttercrisp, was it?
I think it was just the King City Bakery.
Okay, King City Bakery. And the deep
And there was the bus, and I can remember the old El Camino was on the corner.
Hotel, okay.
And then
Okay.
later was Aunt Sylvia's father had the Ford Mercury agency on right next to where the El Camino.
Okay, okay, El Camino,
that was
okay.
there. And then wasn't it Hot Shot Fraser? I think there was a barber shop down the block.
Okay,
And the old Black Cat,
okay.
where he would go between haircuts.
That was like a bar?
Yeah,
The Black Cat Bar? Was it on the corner?
It was on the corner, I
Okay,
believe.
kind of where what we would know as Stockman's or Nina's Cantina, or now a Mexican restaurant. Was it that
I think it was
corner?
where the Mexican restaurant, and the Carl's Market was across
Yeah.
the street.
Ah,
And I can remember
okay.
going to Carl's Market and getting groceries.
Okay.
And we walked because we didn't have a car until I was 12. So you would just walk to school. I walked to high school. You know, and that was quite a walk to go to high school from where we
a
lived.
few blocks, yeah. 7
And
blocks.
Dr. Peterson had his practice there during my high school years on Main Street.
Dr. Peterson, the dentist? Oh.
Moylan Peterson, and he used to have an office there.
Where was it?
Right. Is it near this side of the? Well, it was about a block from the school. This side of the Palm Motel. There were some other hospital or doctor's offices in that little area there, and he would always, if he saw me where he lived, he'd give me a ride that far, and if I wasn't wearing a jacket, he'd say, "You should have a jacket on," and he'd drop me off where he worked, and then I could walk the next rest of the block to school. But if I timed it right, I would get a
You could
ride
get a
from
ride with
Dr.
him.
Peterson.
So it was probably
Because we
on
didn't
the-
have backpacks, we carried our books and things in our arms.
It was probably on the 600 block of Broadway where the Ace Hardware is now and where our glass company used to be. There was an old hospital there and some
Well, I know where the
doctor's
hospital
offices.
was, but the doctors, I think this was before, I think that was before that, that area.
Maybe a nearby.
I'm
huh?
not sure. I'm not
Okay,
positive
well,
about
Dr.
that.
Peterson was there sometime, huh? Okay.
And
so,
I think Dr. Hyde used to have his office in that area.
okay.
Just doctor's office, yeah.
So
Yeah.
King City is still a good town for walking. You can still get from kind of one end to the other without too much difficulty. So that's interesting to hear that you did a lot of walking in King City. Anything else you remember about the main street or the businesses there? Did you go to the theater?
Well, there was Hitchcock's. Oh, the Real Joy. Oh, yes. And then Hobbles had their little candy stand next, so you could go get some candy to take to go to the Real Joy theater and see a movie.
Okay,
You know,
Okay. They didn't sell the candy inside the theater.
they
huh?
didn't at that time. But and they
Okay.
used to have an usher that would take you. Gretchen, was it Gretchen Singleton? Would take you down to your seat if it was, you know, if it was getting dark, and there was another lady that sold tickets at the front. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So that was our entertainment, I guess, you know, to go to because we would go to a movie and you wouldn't think anything about walking at dark, and to go by the depot, and they would turn, if there was somebody at the depot, they would turn lights on so we could see our way home. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Your time in high school, was that a good experience as well? Elementary school and high school?
Yeah, I was in the Scouts and doing all that thing, and then GAA in high school. I think every girl was in.
The Girls Athletic Association?
Yeah, I wasn't really much of an athlete, but I guess I was. And then we would wear our everybody would wear the same thing on it, so it made dressing, getting dressed for school easy because you'd wear the white top and the blue skirts. I guess I can't remember what we did for sure, but. Yeah. Other than that, I used to like to. I was always in the sewing in grammar school and in high school and doing that kind of stuff.
In sewing, huh?
Yeah, I did a lot of sewing. Nothing fancy, but I made a lot of Halloween costumes for my grandchildren and for my children, and baby quilts and things like that. Nothing really fancy to wear or anything like that. I just did. And later, we used to make, when I volunteered at the hospital, we made tote bags to fill with goodies for the kids. I made hundreds of those, I think. When you used to, whoops, those little bugs. You used to go to Walmart and get fabric or the fabric stores, and now you can't find them anymore. If you were a sewer, I don't know what you do.
So, who were some of your friends or your favorite teachers in school? Do you have some
I don't know
memories?
if I have any favorite teachers I could really, but I had, Carol Kreidler, who married Gordon Plaskett. Wally Lumley was a good friend. Connie Cosby, her father worked at L.A. Hearne, I believe. And Carol's father worked, I think, with the oil companies doing something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Ann's father was a car dealer.
Okay, and that was Ann Sylvia?
Sylvia. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. Well, different ones. I went to school with Barbara Plaskett, and her daughter her youngest sister. Her mother had children from Barbara's age to my age to a daughter that's my daughter's age. Kelly works at the First Capital Bank, and they're sisters. And there's that many years between all those Plaskett kids. Yeah, yeah.
So do you consider yourself to have a best memory of school, or something that you really liked, or something that when you think back on it, is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, I remember I got a pair of scissors, and I still have them, and they still work well, and my name is on them as Young Homemaker. I should get them out and see what it says, because it's engraved and it's in the other room. And they still are amazing scissors, and they were given to me as a young homemaker or something, some kind of an award I won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got those scissors, and it's amazing.
So that was part of your sewing.
That was in the 8th grade. That was in the 8th grade.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So when were you first aware of the Bitterwater area?
I guess when I went out with John, because my mother was hard of hearing, and I wasn't supposed to date, and I was at Wally's house, and John Maggini asked me to go on a hayride, and she thought I said Ron Maggini. Well, she knew Ron. He was a year older than me, and we were friends, you know. She said, okay, it's okay, you know, and it was John. He was a senior, and I was a freshman. I mean, my goodness. And we dated for a while, and then we didn't, and you know, and then he did go to Cal Poly for a short time after he graduated from high school, and then we started dating again. Yeah.
That was after the hayride, huh?
Yeah. Well, we went together for a while. Went on dates, and I don't know. I guess we'd go to the show, to the Real Joy Theater or something. You know, we didn't do anything. Well, we had school dances and a lot of. Actually, high school did have a lot of activities like that for kids, for different things.
And they let some of the older guys come back sometimes to go to the dances.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you graduated from King City High School, and I hear you graduated in the high school auditorium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what year was that?
1958.
Okay.
And Mike Bemgard was my walking partner down. They'd have us in pairs walk in, and I remember Mike was a good friend.
And then the next day you got married?
And that was after the senior party.
Okay.
And Butch Heinsohn gave me, he knew we were getting married, of course, everybody did. And he gave me a rolling pin as a gift, because Butch is kind of a character anyway, you know. And we were raised actually as babies together, because our parents were friends. In Bradley, there's a picture of us as babies out in the yard in Bradley, 1 year old. And Butch gave me a rolling pin, and I still use it.
Oh, sometimes it's good to save something if it's not broken, huh?
And I don't see Butch very often, but when I do, he's always got a smile on his face and always has a story to tell. And he says, I was in the bank one day, and he's announcing, and there's usually not there many people in the bank, in the little bank in King City. And he says, and he's with his girlfriend or whatever, they're together all the time, and he says, I saw her naked. And we were babies in diapers, Butch, and he loves to tell that story.
To tell that story, huh?
And we had a little class reunion at Putsy's, and he gets up to tell the story again, and I says, now wait a minute, Butch.
Let's clarify.
Let's get this straight.
Well, so you do go back a long way.
Yeah, and him and my father were good friends, and then his father had a tragic accident. I think he was in the ocean and drowned. And his mother married his brother, which a lot of people did, and so he did have a half brother that was Heinsohn. Yeah.
So you got married, and then you moved out here to Bitterwater, right?
To the corner, to the station.
To the station, yeah, Station 5, at the corner of Bitterwater Road and Highway 25. Do you remember anything about those early years living out in Bitterwater? You lived next to the railroad tracks until you got married, right?
And then I just went across the tracks a little further.
and came out here. Do you remember? What do you remember about the house at Station 5?
Oh, well, we had our kids there, and we had Christmas there. I mean, it was just, you know, we had kids all, we kept expanding on the porch to make it bigger to fit everybody. We had all 3 of them in a little over 2.5 years.
So, and let's just go ahead and document that. So your first child was Dawn.
Dawn, and she was born in
D-A-W-N?
March of 59.
Okay.
And Mark was a year and a half later.
Okay, Mark. And so that was...
He was born in 60.
60, okay.
And then Shari.
Mm-hmm.
And she was born in 61, yeah.
1961. Whoa, so that's a lot of little kids.
Yeah, so I was
in
busy.
a very short time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I didn't think anything of it. I mean, you know, you just do what you do, you know.
And did you like being a mom? I don't know if I should ask that.
Yeah,
yeah. Seems like it was.
Yeah, we did. I mean, we had an old station wagon before seat belts, and I would have a blanket in the back, and the little one would be, you know, and they'd be sitting, and they were flying projectiles, I guess, because we didn't have seat
You
belts.
didn't have seat belts.
No, my goodness, and we had the station wagon, you know, to fit everybody, and I'd go to town with them, and sometimes my mother would, but then my dad was very young when he had a stroke, and so I didn't really have, and then his mother was, Dawn was just little when she died, so the other kids, so we didn't really have grandparents to kick in, you know, like a lot of grandparents. I mean, we loved to have it. We had our grandkids a lot. We were lucky that they were close enough in San Luis to have them, and they were here a lot, our grandkids.
So you were at Station 5 for about what, 6 years, 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, I think Shari had. I think we had her. We were here. We moved here in October because Shari and John both have October birthdays, and I think it was her 5th birthday that we moved in here. Yeah.
Maybe around 1966, huh? And so this house, compared to your other house, you had more space?
Oh yes, a lot of space. Yeah. The girls were in a bedroom together, and Mark had a room, and we had the working man's room.
So you've pretty much been a rancher's wife, raising a family as your occupation.
A lot of volunteer work and bookkeeping for all our little ventures.
And I heard your husband say that there was probably no way that he could have done all this work here at the ranch without all your help.
I've done that, and lately a lot more, I think. I've been learning all his tools and everything better than I did before.
So what are some of the things that you did as a ranch wife? You obviously had to cook dinner every night. You had to...
Well, I did the book work and the kids, and we were involved. I was involved with doing all the 4-H stuff also. I wasn't a leader, but I was involved. And I guess you could say Jackie Baumgartner and I were the PTA, because there weren't that many ladies.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we didn't call ourselves, it was the Mothers Club, you know. But
is that what it was, the Mothers Club?
Yeah, we didn't call ourselves PTA. It was just the mothers that would just do the fun stuff, like with the school teachers. They always had programs for the kids at Christmas time and graduation time and Halloween. Halloween, we always had a big deal at the Tully Hall, always. And decorating and having just all kinds of things for the kids. They didn't go trick-or-treating. It was there at the Tully Hall.
And when you say book work, you're mainly just like paying the bills and for
just
the
getting
ranch?
everything, and keeping monthly tab of the ranch. And we had a burger pit, and we had apartments.
Oh, you had a burger pit in King City?
Yeah.
So a restaurant, huh?
Well, it was a burger joint, kind of, mostly burgers. His cousin ran it, and but I ended up doing the book work. And then we had the apartments. And then he had different ventures with his nephews, Paul Sands and Les, farming. That was a corporation. And then we had, what else did he do? We had the corporation. Oh, and then you had, with Steve Lucas, we had cattle on the Me Ranch. We had cattle with another fellow from Nevada. And I kept track of all of that. Yeah.
So did you study business or economics
I
or
was
bookkeeping?
more into the business in high school, and
Okay.
I worked for, I worked in the office with, who was our principal that was such a neat guy?
Ed Fisher?
Ed Fisher, yeah.
Oh, so he was
Yeah.
the principal?
Yeah, yeah, and I used to do some office work for him.
Okay.
Yeah, but office work was my kind of a thing in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it came to pay off afterwards, huh? Huh.
And then I volunteered. There wasn't kindergarten in Bitterwater for the kids, so we had a co-op in King City.
Oh.
And I think Barbara Harris had something to do with that. And the mothers, Sally Martinez was involved. We helped with, so I would take the kids in for that. And then later Red Cross swimming.
Oh, really? You helped with that?
Well, I did on land, not in the water, because I was not a good swimmer and I wanted my kids, they were going to go to Red Cross swimming. So I brought them into Red Cross swimming, and being as I was there, I volunteered to do the on land business that we did with the kids before they went into the water.
Okay.
Yeah. And then later I was with the Service League for over 30 years.
I remember that seeing you.
Did pushing wheelchairs and also everything
at the hospital,
in the gift shop and whatever was needed. We had bake sales. We were pretty active. Yeah.
Was that when the hospital was on Canal Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you were there
Yeah.
when they first started on Canal Street, or afterwards?
No, it was after, because I know Ann lived across the street and it was a vacant lot over there. And then the hospital, because all of my kids were born in the old hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me put this down.
Yeah.
Born in old hospital. And that was, when you say the old hospital.
That was, where they end up, it was the rest home later. And,
the Pioneer Hacienda.
Yeah.
And that would have been on the 600 block of Broadway. 600 block of Broadway. And do you remember who your doctor was during that time?
Dr. Hyde.
Dr. Hyde. He helped to deliver a lot of King City kids.
Yeah.
So your children eventually, they all went to Bitterwater School and then to Bitterwater School and then to King City High School.
And then, yes. And we were afraid, they don't know, but they weren't just country kids. We used to go to Cow Palace and take 4-H kids. We'd sleep in the barns with the kids. And we'd take them to Monterey to dinner. I mean, we took them places where they weren't just country kids that didn't know that there was another world out there. Yeah.
So they got exposed to other things.
Yeah.
And they all graduated from King City High School?
Yes.
And did they go on to college?
All of them are college graduates.
All on to college? And
Cal Poly and UCSB.
Cal Poly and UCSB. And then now you have some grandchildren?
4 grandchildren.
4 grandchildren? Okay. And they're getting grown up now, huh?
Yeah, and they're all college graduates.
Oh, so you have college graduate grandchildren.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what activities or groups have you been involved with during your lifetime? So you mentioned Red Cross, you mentioned the Service League, you mentioned Mother's Club. Is there anything else that we can think of? I mean, what do you do with your spare time? Like, if you have something that you enjoy, what would that be? Are you a reader? Are you a musician?
I read.
Do you?
Yeah. I just read fiction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I probably read every day. Yeah, I go to the library in Cambria. We have a place in Cambria, and I love the little library there, and I'm always bringing home something that I've already read because I forget which ones I've read.
So you split your time between here?
Yeah, we're back and forth.
Okay. And how did you get connected to Cambria?
When we sold the ranch, we did an exchange and bought a place in Cambria in 1995. And we used it as a rental, vacation rental, until we didn't have to, thank God. And then we were able to use it for ourselves. So it's nice. We've got a neighbor that's been there since we moved in, and he was a musician and always had music at Cambritas on Sunday, and we'd go down there and dance, and he played music until just the last few years. Tony, our little hippie neighbor, he's great.
So now when you say sold the ranch,
we sold a part of the ranch,
over
the hill part. Oh yeah,
you still own this part where you
we
live.
had over the hill. I called it over the hill.
Okay.
From the station on down was ours. I don't know how many acres that was. 1,500 acres that we sold to the Scatinis.
Okay.
And then we kept this place over here. It's another 15. We've got about 1,500 acres here. Yeah.
Okay. So you maybe a little less responsibility having a few less acres, huh?
Yeah, especially as we're older.
As you get older.
Yeah. And we lived at we had a place at Tahoe for a while, and it was a vacation rental also.
Oh, okay.
And that's where Don and John got married. Yeah.
So I want to go back to when you lived in King City. Do you remember Highway 101 running through downtown King City?
Yes.
What do you remember about that? Was it pretty busy, or?
Well, I guess it was, but it was just the way it was, and that's just what it was, And I can remember going to Paso. My one sister was in Paso, and I can remember driving to Paso, 2-lane road, and a lot of times I didn't like coming back with the kids, and I'd come back through Hearne and come the back way. That come a long way.
Because
it was Blood Alley. It was getting kind of bad.
And when you say Blood Alley, you're referring to the area between King City and San Ardo? Or?
Yeah, they used to call that Blood Alley. Yeah.
And so you would detour off of that road and
sometimes
go through
if I had the
Hearne.
kids, it wasn't that much. I was on a back road anyway. I felt more comfortable.
Okay, well, are there any other memories that you think would be interesting? Any comments that you have about just living in Bitterwater and what that's like to be out here in the country? It's a pretty nice view out your window.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's that was it when we bought a place in Cambria. I said, I told the realtor, I'd like a place, but I don't really want to be in a neighborhood. And she looked at me like I was, what's wrong with this woman? Is crazy. I mean, what does she mean? And it is enough of we have an empty spot next to us. Our neighbor next to us, she lost her husband. She's just 61 years old. And she's been there. She teaches, so she's off all the time. And then somebody else across the street, they have a place in the valley that they live. And they're part-timers like us, and it's very quiet. It's just, it's not like living in a busy neighborhood, because I never have lived with that close of neighbors. I mean, well, we had all the Perez's were next door living in King City. That was fun. We had, we'd go out and play hide and seek, and when I was a little kid at the old SB house. And we used the old Coca-Cola shed for a backstop for baseball. And we'd go to the beat dump, and ride up and down with our bikes. And I think Pauline and I used to try to make puppets and had puppet shows and just different things like that when we were little kids, just that was grammar school,
That was one thing I forgot to ask you. You had some siblings when you were growing up in King City that were at the...
Yeah, I had Dolores, who was my oldest sister, and then Beverly.
Okay.
And then myself.
Okay.
And then Shirley.
Okay. And so all of you grew up there at the house by the
We
depot.
ended, yeah. Beverly got married early and left, and then Dolores, she married Roger Milton. She worked at the bank in King City, Wells Fargo. Beverly worked at the bank also. And then Shirley lived in Southern California after she and Daryl married. But she's in Pine Canyon now.
And now your children, so your youngest sister Shirley is in Pine Canyon, and her last name is?
Gurley.
Gurley, okay. And then your children, where do they live? Dawn lives where?
Dawn lives in Cayucas now.
Okay.
Dawn
And
and
then
John Turner. And then
Mark lives where?
he's in Decatur, Georgia.
In Georgia, okay. And then
Shari's in Cambria now,
Shari in Cambria.
which is great. She's just a few blocks away. I mean, I've always got her. John loves to cook, and they'll say, well, we'll bring something over, and I'll say, well, I'll make a salad, and it's like, here comes Meals on Wheels.
Wow, how great. So yeah, both of your girls, and then your daughter Shari's married to
John Rabashadi.
Rabashadi. And so both of your daughters married local people into local families that have ties.
Yeah, we knew all the in-laws. I mean, we used to all get together at Christmas time and everything. It was great. I mean, the Turners, and when everybody was with us, and yeah, and the Rabashadis.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Also, I wanted to ask you, do you have any memories of Tully Hall? I think you told me you used to do a big Halloween party there.
Halloween was always fun. With Jackie Baumgartner and I would get together, and she'd tell me what to do. She was the artist. She was an RN in King City.
Right.
Yeah, and she used to work the night shift. And she was a character. Yeah.
And so you would decorate the hall?
Oh, we would go get bones out of we'd go to the San Benito River, and we made a big tombstones and bones and stuff on the stage. And then we had one year we had a haunted house downstairs, down below, and had the kids go through that. And we did all kinds of stuff. We spent hours, because Jackie loved doing that kind of thing, and I was her helper.
I see.
Yeah.
And I think you said that Shari or one of the girls graduated from, or used that hall for a graduation?
All of my kids graduated from Bitterwater Tully Hall. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that building's been here for a long time.
Yeah. And I used to work on we used to vote there. The election place.
Elections, okay.
Yeah. And I can't remember Alberta. I know Alberta Rist, Bill's mother. I think Arlene Smith probably. I can't remember who all of us were, but we'd plan our meals. We'd have to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner there, you know.
Oh, because of voting? There probably weren't too many people that voted from around here, but enough.
Until finally, I don't remember what year it was that we could opt for the mail-in ballots, which we do. We still do it that way.
Okay, well, is there anything else that you'd like to say? Thank you for telling us about your experience here in Bitterwater, and especially about your time in King City. We're especially interested in King City. We're going to have a new history center in our new downtown plaza. The Chamber of Commerce is going to move from the 200 block to the 300 block. We're in the old Joe's Flower Shop building.
Oh, yes.
And it's going to be a tourist or a visitor center in one part of the building, and then a history room in the other.
That used to be Tiny Benedum's.
Yes, Tiny Benedum's
We'd go there,
locker.
and I still wrap my meat the way Madeline did.
Really?
I told her that one day before she got older. I went to see her daughters. We were going to go to another person's and meet for lunch. Some of us from Joy Del Ponte, Joy Burnell was my class. And we would go down and have lunch or something in Salinas, and we stopped there, and she went with us, and I told her I still wrap my meat the way they used to do it. We'd take meat in and have it processed if it was beef or something like that, because he could age it.
Yeah, so that's going to be, one of those rooms is going to be a history center, and we're going to continue to do this kind of thing, interview people, try to save the stories from this area. And so
I don't know where Tiny's was. I guess it was where Joe's Flowers. The same place.
Same building. Yep. And that they're going to refurbish that and fix it up, and And so it's really special because for me doing this interview with you, because I was able to interview you 40 some years ago when I first came here as a news reporter, and I remember just being really delighted that I could come out to the rural area and to meet somebody like you.
I was in Cattle Women for years
yes,
too. I forgot to mention that.
Okay, yeah. You were telling me about a lot of things that was all new to me, and I was raised in a rural area, so I appreciate it. I appreciate your home.
I think I was treasurer in Cowbells, and I was treasurer in the Service League. I was always stuck doing books.
They knew your skill. But anyway,
I forgot. I was treasurer of Cattle Women. It was Cowbells first. We made 2 cookbooks. I was in charge of one, and we used to put them together, page by page. And then the Hospital Service League, we also had a cookbook.
Yes, and you were a good cook because I remember putting a couple of your recipes into that article that I wrote. But so it's amazing the number of years that go by to think that, I knew you back then. You were one of my first interviews when I became a news reporter, and now I'm getting to do it again. So I don't know if either of us will be around in another 40 years. So we might as well enjoy this now. So, all right. Well, Darlene, thank you so much. I don't know if there's any other thing we want to add, but I think you've done a great job of talking. And like I mentioned with your husband, John, if you think of some of these things, just, write them down and save them. I think they're really special. So I appreciate that.
Good.
All right. Thank you.